Hi there, I'm Amy Griffiths and I'm one of the journalists in Manx Radio's newsroom and you're listening to Newscast.
My name is Jamie Lewis. I'm Chair of Hospitality Isle of Man and Managing Director of Extra Fancy Limited. This was something I joined the business agency board back in January and I brought it to the board that I would like to establish a hospitality specific group. This would be an independent board formed of businesses from around the island, but it was really important for that to be a broad coalition of hospitality businesses. Traditionally, we've had some incredible organisations formed, but they're kind of more niched in their approach. It was really important for me that we included everything from wet-led businesses, pubs, restaurants, bars, cocktail bars, wineries, everything that we have and is represented. A lot to sit alongside the hotels, the accommodation providers, the tourism sector, experience-led venues, cafés, non-wet-led businesses. We all have similar, issues and things that will need to be addressed, and I think that the strength is in the unity of that, not otherwise.
And what are you hoping are going to be the main aims for the board?
So we've had our first meeting already. We're in the process of kind of defining those. But for me, on a personal level, it's to drive hospitality as a career choice. We have young people leaving the island. I think that hospitality can offer huge advantages, and I've seen that for members of my staff. They've been able to travel to around the world as part of their kind of bartending journey, and I don't want them to see the Isle of Man as a limiting factor to that. So career development is really important to me, but it's there as an advisory in an advisory capacity to government, so that God forbid something like COVID happened again, that they have a direct line into an established direct line into hospitality businesses, and all of those people, all of those organisations that already exist have seats on the board as well, so that those conversations aren't happening in silo, they're happening and being brought back to the table with a direct line into government. And
how positive do you feel about that relationship with government? Do you feel like they are in a position where they're happy to listen?
Yeah, absolutely. Just by sheer nature of the board being established and existing, as I said, it is an independent board. The government are supporting us initially with kind of secretarial bits and things, and actually getting us established and off the ground. We've had a direct line into initiatives such as the Manx menu. We just finished a subcommittee meeting this morning. There were some concerns kind of that people had from other people amongst ourselves, that initiative should be a little more inclusive, so that a cafe could feel like it could enter every component of that, and not just be restaurant focused. So that there are hopefully some slight amends to come out of that. But yeah, that's an established activation that government have listened this morning and are working on that.
And there has been some feedback so far since the news of the creation of the board was announced, that people saying, oh, it's just another committee, another board. And how do you respond to that?
Well, I feel like if those people that spend their days effectively in a committee on Facebook, hitting the comment sections, putting it to some good rather than just being negative, we'd live in a much better place. These are people that own their own businesses, that are taking time out of their days, in an unpaid voluntary capacity to try and improve the sector as a whole. And one of our core, the overwhelming kind of conversation at the start of the first board meeting that we held is that there's not a place to complain, it's a place to be proactive, and it's a place to, initiate change, not just to moan about it.
And from your perspective and from your experience within the industry at the moment, what do you think are some of the key challenges that the island is facing at the moment?
So I think that there are a lot of unique challenges on the Isle of Man by virtue of being on an island. I'm not alone in that the cost of freight to the Isle of Man is quite expensive, because we all feel that on an individual level. Getting on the boat it's a very expensive stretch of water to cross, and I'm not a boat expert, but there will be experts in that field that might want to talk to our businesses about how how that impacts us. And it's easy to it's easy to think that hospitality businesses, it's busy, so it's making a lot of money, but those things that people are feeling when they go, to Tesco and buy a loaf of bread and see that the cost of that price of bread has gone up for them on an individual level, that cost of bread has gone up in a restaurant, which means the restaurant has to put their prices up. And, that's impacted by, macroeconomics, but there are controllable things like, the steam packet is taxpayer owned currently. So, that it should be something that we can, hopefully impact some kind of change.
And the Enterprise Minister has come out within the last week to say that businesses are going to have to ask difficult questions about their sustainability, and that this isn't going to be sort of, they can't have a magic plaster that's going to fix everything. And do you feel like that's the right attitude, I suppose? Or do you feel like there should be a bit more being done to be supportive?
I think that so long as the government is, applying that approach to government, which the feedback from the government conference is that, that is the feedback that's coming out, that, the budget for the NHS, there's no magic money tree for them to, continue funding the overspends there. So if that logic's been applied across the board, then yeah, of course, like we're business owners and we have to make tough decisions. What we want is the cost of doing business on the Isle of Man to be cheaper, and I think that's something that the whole the whole island can focus on. It's not just a hospitality related problem, which is why I talked about the steam packet previously. That's something that impacts everybody, both on a personal level but also on a business level. It's a really expensive cross of water, to get products across. We live on an island. That's our lifeline. We need it to work, but that has to be sustainable.
You mentioned some of the initiatives that are already being planned. So the Manx menu is one of the ones that you're already focusing on. In fact, tonight there's a Meet the Producers event already happening that's already been organised and things. So how are you hoping that those are going to start raise awareness, I suppose, of the issues, the continued issues of the industry?
I think as well, it doesn't necessarily need to be issue focused. It needs to be, we need to just focus on supporting our local economy. And the initiative tonight, I think, is amazing. We did, the business agency did this event in London earlier this year, where they invited chefs from across London, across the country, to come and to the IFE event to meet Manx producers and for them to strike up connections. I think that's a really, really important part of government to kind of help make those introductions for people. What's more important is that that happens on a local level, and that those, the restaurant owners and cafe owners have the opportunity to meet those suppliers. And there may be people that they're not working with currently that they could make a connection with at the event this evening.
And do you feel like sometimes, even though we are a very small island, that actually it's quite easy to forget about the local suppliers and providers and manufacturers that we have right on our doorstep?
Yeah, absolutely. I think everybody is so focused on their business that of course it's easy to miss. But that's why, like I say, an event like this evening, to get everybody in the same room, to get the producers to meet with restaurants that they all likewise may not know exist. They may be a small operation that can't afford a sales team or can't afford someone to go out there and make direct connections into those businesses. So I do believe it's an important part, an important role for government in helping facilitate those conversations. Yeah.
Going back to the board as a whole, I suppose it's probably a fairly difficult question to answer, but how do you think, as its chair, you will measure its success, say in this time, in a year's time, 5 years' time?
Yeah, I guess if we're still going, I think that if we've not been given the boot, but no, I genuinely, I think that that success is measured in the results, and it's hard to say. We've met once and we've all kind of put our ideas down on the table. It's now for us to go away, think about what's important, and set those kind of guidelines for what we want to impact. The reason it was important to work with both Visit Isle of Man and the business agency is that hospitality kind of straddles both of those. It's not in one, it's not in the other. Like, business agency is looking internally, so our local economy, the strategy that was released a couple of weeks ago, and Visit is focusing on bringing people to our shores, and we need a kind of perfect balance of those things for our businesses to thrive.
Thank you for making it to the end of the Manx Radio Newscast. You are obviously someone with exquisite taste. May I politely suggest you might want to subscribe to this and a wide range of Manx Radio podcasts at your favourite podcast provider, so our best bits will magically appear on your smartphone. Thank you.